What's going on, MGTOW brothers? So I'm down here at Fort Monroe in Virginia, just relaxing. I'm actually gonna head out to Raleigh, North Carolina after I'm done here, after I do my walk. It's a nice little place, cool boats everywhere. Can't see anything because the damn phone gets black from the sun. It's a beautiful place. I come here all the time, actually. Uh, my hotel isn't that far. You know, it's a beautiful place. It's nice and breezy today. Not a lot of people, which is good, because personally, I don't like that many people. There's the actual fort, a portion of the fort. There's a lot. This all used to be some sort of like military base. I don't know. I'm not much into military history, but it's pretty cool in reality, right? And I do enjoy it. It's a fun little place to come to. Easy to you know. You got free parking too, so you don't actually have to spend a lot of money for it. So it's not bad. And you can't complain when things are free. But today I want to talk about something, right? And that is how my younger years shaped my future, and how they changed my relationships, right? And I think so again, right? The weirdest thing, right, is that after that happened to me, right? After all of that crap happened, it's still freaking weird. I'm not gonna lie, right? It's weird. It's weird to say it out loud because, like, I don't know. When you say things out loud, then it becomes real, right? As long as you never talk about it, it just seems like it never happened, like it's not real, right? But as soon as you talk about it, it does become real, and that sort of it forces you to confront the reality. And obviously sometimes you're just not ready for it, and maybe I'll never be ready to confront reality, right? So I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say that it was all peaches and cream. But so after that, what happened was, like, I actually started to what do you call it? Like, self-isolate, right? Like, like I became shy. I became reclusive. And like my parents noticed that something was weird, and my brothers and sisters noticed it too, but they just thought, like, I was going through a phase. I never told anybody what was actually, like, what had occurred and what was going on. And, like, I would go to school with my head down, right? Because I was a child. I was I don't know. Like I said, right? It's still hard to talk about it, because it does seem to make it real when you actually, when you fully speak it, it makes it real, and it's difficult to, admit to yourself that, that happened. But unfortunately, it did happen. So, I mean, there's no way of turning back that time. So I became reclusive. Like, I was going to school, and my teachers noticed that, like, something was weird, right? And like, I started becoming scared of women and scared of girls. And my teacher, because I guess she was noticing the way I was acting, right? So I'm not saying that she knew what was going on, but she could see the way I was acting, right? Obviously, around girls and around boys. And so what she did was something very stupid, and in my opinion, right? Extremely stupid. And she put me in between these two girls. Now, like, to sit next to them. And I swear I will never forget their names. One was Courtney, and the other one was Caitlin. Now Caitlin, right? I could literally draw her face today, from memory, right? The sweetest girl, the nicest girl I have ever actually met or run into. Obviously, I think, and this is gonna take a twist. So she sits me there, right? She sits me in between Caitlin and Courtney. I'm in class, right? And I had to go to the bathroom. I'll never forget it, right? I had to go to the bathroom, but I was like, I don't know. I guess the word would be scared, right? That would be the correct term to say. because I was. And so basically what happened is like I was scared to to ask to go to the bathroom. Obviously my teacher also being a female, right? And so I literally, like I pissed myself. I was in class and I pissed myself because I was scared to ask, to go to the bathroom and to tell anybody. And then, uh, what was it? Courtney, it's weird because it's always weird how you remember how you remember traumatic things, right? Uh, like Courtney raises her hand and then calls on the teacher, says, tells the teacher that, hey, you know, uh, he pissed himself, and my my teacher obviously, like when she tries to grab me, right, to take me to the nurse, like she, obviously because she's trying to figure out what the heck is going on, like I pull my, she tries to touch me and I pull my hand, away from her and all that, right? And so they call the nurse and they call the principal and all that stuff, and the nurse they take me to the nurse's office. And so the nurse obviously, she gives me a change of clothes and all that. Now, I'm a young kid, right? I'm very young, and so the nurse is basically, like trying to help me, like she's taking off my shoes, trying to help me basically change, while she called my parents, so my parents could come and pick me up. Now, my parents obviously couldn't pick me up, right, because they were working, and it's not like they could just leave work and come there. So basically, so the nurse tries to change me, right, help me change and all that, and like I'm fighting her, right? Because she has no idea what the hell is going on, but like I'm heavily resisting her, I'm not letting her touch me at all. uh, and then she finally, I don't know, I'm assuming, like, I don't know, it's weird. I can't, because I don't want to speak for other people, but she was finally like, she just gave me the clothes and then basically says, go to the bathroom and get changed, because you can't stay with Pete. And so, I went in there, in the bathroom. We had a shower in there, so I took a shower. I got all cleaned up and I got changed. Till this day, I still can't I still can't believe that our school actually had change of clothes for kids. I always wonder how many other times something like this had occurred there. Never asked. Never will either. And so finally I get changed, and then by the time I'm done changing, the principal comes there, comes in the office, and then he actually drives me home. Like he drives me to my house. I get home and I go inside and all that stuff. And then, like my sister and my brother, like they would make, like they were making fun of me and all that kind of stuff for, pissing myself. Which I guess, it's funny, because they had, again, like I don't blame them. I never did, because they had no idea and I never told them. So anyway, so I mean, like it started kind of, like going into all crazy stuff. And then, and then as the time went on, like my teacher obviously moved me away. But it was weird because when I went back, right, like Courtney and Caitlin, again, and I say Caitlin, right, that's why I can remember her face, because like she looked at me, right, and she genuinely smiled at me, like concerned. And it was one of those comforting smiles that you'll never forget in your life, right? I mean, be honestly, like, it didn't do that much, but it was still something, right? And it was probably more than I had gotten in a long time, from. And so, like my teacher obviously kind of, moved me, because she kept me there for a while, but obviously, like, I wouldn't talk. I wouldn't raise my head. I wouldn't do anything. Like, my head was just down, like, and I wouldn't move. I wouldn't, speak. I wouldn't do anything, right? And then my teacher finally, just moves me out of that position and moves me, with the guys. And, like, I'm still, obviously, like, but it's nowhere near as bad, like, I'm trying, right? Like, I'm trying because, like, the fear tactic isn't there anymore. But I did develop a eating disorder where I literally, like, I became skin and bones. I got to, like 50 pounds And my parents, like they were freaking out. They were literally force feeding me. Like I shit you not, right? Like my mom would literally grab a fork and a spoon and like literally, my dad would force my mouth open and then force feed me. And like, it was weird because, like they were angry. They were angry at me, and like I didn't, they didn't understand exactly like what the hell I was doing and why I was doing it. I never told them anything, so they're obviously just confused as hell. We went to the doctors and all that stuff, but obviously I never said anything. Uh, the the wildest part was where, like I had to be hospitalized for a whole week, and like they kept me in there and they gave me, like they kept me there in the entire week on IVs, and like they were basically feeding me through a tube because I had gotten way too skinny. I mean, like you could literally see like the skeleton shape around my body, you know. And once I came back, like home and all that stuff, like I tried to run away from home multiple times, and then my parents, like you know, like my parents wouldn't let me get out of the house unless it was directly. It was basically straight from school to home, and like that obviously didn't help at all either, because like that just made me feel even angrier and all that stuff. So what I would do is I would jump out of the second story window, and run, and then my parents, obviously my parents were checking up, and then uh, as I'm trying to run away, obviously, like they would call the cops, and the cops come and find me and all that kind of stuff. The wildest thing was that one time I ran, as I was running away, like I was walking along the street. I was, just trying to get the heck out, and then I got hit by a car, and nothing crazy. It was around, it was around like 25 miles an hour, whatever it was, right? It was, nothing heavy because I had my book bag and all that, right? But that sucker launched the heck out of me, and I passed the hell out. Next thing I know, like I'm awake in the hospital, and my dad and my mom, they're just looking at me like. After I got out of the hospital, my dad beat the living hell out of me for doing that, right? And so I never ran away or never tried to run away again. But I did because, like again, right? It took a very long time for me to stop trying to do all that kind of stuff, right? And it was, I don't know. I'm not gonna say that. I mean, I can only imagine it. I can only imagine what had happened to other people out there, and that's really what it's for. Is hopefully maybe it helps somebody else understand that, it's really not your fault. But the hardest thing that happened, and I wasn't able to sleep for a very long time, and that is that I started having nightmares, and then I would I would literally pee my bed, like I would piss while I'm sleeping, right? And I had problems sleeping because like every time I would sleep, I would get this nightmare, and the nightmare was that I'd be laying in my bed. And so this is actually the dream. So I'm laying in my bed, and in my dream I open my eyes and I see I see a woman looking at, from outside the house. I see a woman looking in, and she busts through the house, through the window trying to get me. And I start screaming, in the dream, and apparently I was screaming in real life too, right? And I'm, in my dream, I'm running, right? I'm running down the house, and, like my parents are trying to chase her away, my family, but, like she kills them all. And I go out into the backyard, and I'm running, and I'm running, and I'm running, and she just keeps like chasing me, right? And other people keep fighting her, right? So this is all in my dream. Like other people are fighting her, trying to keep her away from me, right? But like I just keep running and running, and no matter who it is, right? Like nobody can seem to stop this lady. Right, and so, like I had a lot of problems, like trying to actually go to sleep, and and my dad and my mom were like, "Why are you, peeing your bed? Like you're old, like you're not a kid anymore, right?" Again, right, same thing, right? I mean, like the shame and all that kind of stuff doesn't let you say anything. But I lived with it, and it took years before like I overcame at least the nightmare and all that. I still have it sometimes, believe it or not, but I mean, it's nowhere near as effective today as it was, when I was a young child. So it's just something that, unfortunately, I've had to learn to live with.